Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about argumentative essays. Uh, in our daily life, we may need to, you know, give form an opinion on something, a point of view or opinion on something, and that opinion of ours is an argument. And when we want to share this argument with the others, they may not agree with us right away. So we may need to persuade them. So persuasion, we may try to explain the reasons why we believe that way. And we may need to appeal to the reader's logic or to their feelings. And we need to when we need some certain skills to do the same thing when we are writing as well. Okay, the skills of argumentation and persuasion may be needed in so many settings and in so many career options. But as teachers, we need such skills in meetings about curriculums on matters such as which topics to cover, which course books would work best, and individually to decide on which learning styles or types of activities work best for our students. And if we are asked to defend our methods, we may need these skills. Also, while informing the parents about the performance of their kids and what should be done to improve them, etc. We need the persuasion skills, especially, the parents are not trained teachers like us, so it might be a little bit more difficult to explain to them what we are doing and why we are doing it and why it benefits the students. So argumentation and persuasion are important skills that we will need in life. While arguing a point and persuading your audience, you need to do three things. First of all, search for logical answers as to why you hold an opinion. And secondly, examine and weigh the usefulness of the emotions associated with your opinion. And three, present clear and credible information to support the viewpoint you're arguing. This ability to present sound and compelling arguments is an important skill in everyday life and in your work life, as I already discussed. As you develop this skill in clear and logical reasoning, you will also become a better critic of advertisements, newspapers, articles, political speeches, and other everyday persuasive appeals. So it is quite important as a critical thinking skill. You took a course on critical thinking and speaking last year. So today we are going to do some references to that course about forming arguments and methods of persuasion. So in general, argumentation is the defense of a position based on logic, and persuasion is rooted in finding the forms of defense, methods of defense that will appeal specifically to your audience, just like you did in your argumentative speeches in critical thinking and speaking last year. But the lines between the argumentation and persuasion skills are often blurred. We generally use same methods for the two, and whatever their differences are, both begin with a point that either involves controversy or can be contested. So we need argumentative and persuasive skills about some controversial issues, about issues which may have two sides. So nearly every essay you write so far in this course contained elements of persuasion or argumentation. I always asked you to clearly state an opinion and as standpoint in your thesis statements. I told you that I favored that, and that was to prepare you for the writing of an argumentative essay. So in writing, when your primary purpose is to argue or persuade, there are distinct qualities and considerations that your essay should have. Persuasion sometimes appeals to emotion or human values, and argumentation to logic and reason. You know about rhetoric that you learned in critical thinking last year. You are familiar with the terms pathos, logos, and ethos already. Pathos is the appeal to readers' emotion. Logos is the appeal to readers' logic. And ethos is the appeal based on the character and or knowledge of the writer. Okay, remember the essay that we read in the previous chapter, comparison and while talking about comparison and contrast essays. The essay was called What's for Dinner, and it was a comparison between fast food and home cooked food. And the writer had a clear opinion there, which was stated in the thesis statement. And he argued that home cooked food is better. And to persuade the reader, he appealed to the reader's logos and ethos when he said when he talked about fast food's bad effect on health and fast food's cost of making it, opposed to the cost of home cooked meals, which is apparently cheaper. So the writer appealed to logos because he was showing some logical main points, logical supporting points while dealing with those. And when the author mentioned that fast food tasted better and also, sorry, not fast food tastes worse as opposed to home cooked food. Home cooked food tastes better, and also home cooked food can be fast too. He was appealing to ethos based on knowledge of the writer. And for example, he didn't, but if he mentioned the bad effects of fast food in children's development and asked, would you raise your children on fast food diet? Then he would be appealing to pathos, which is the appeal to the emotion. All right, you can actually use one of these strategies in your appeal to the reader. You can appeal to the reader's pathos, emotions, or logos, reader's logic and reasoning, or ethos. You can base your opinion, support your opinion with examples from your real life. Or you can combine 2 or 3 of these throughout your essay. Okay, first of all, when we write the argumentative essay, we need to use polite and formal language while addressing the reader. Polite, for example, we shouldn't say, everybody knows that, or people with any intelligence agree that, which is quite rude. We shouldn't say such things because that would offend our readers and it would make our opinion look weak. And also, we need to use the formal language so that our language is universal and it feels like it is addressed to everyone who is reading who is reading our essay. So for that, we shouldn't do any generalizations. This is what I said to you when you wrote your first essay. Your essay number 1 was more like an argumentative essay, actually. So, but I didn't teach you how to write an argumentative essay back then because we focused on the organization, clarity, uh, unity and coherence, and how to write good introduction, etc. And so we shouldn't do any generalizations. So instead of saying people or everyone, you can say many people, most people, a great majority of people, a great majority of Thai people is even less general. A great majority or many Thai students is even Thai university students is even more and more specific. So we need to be specific in our use of language. We shouldn't use general statements, general phrases. Also, we shouldn't make certain statements. We shouldn't sound so sure of ourselves. All right. Instead of saying is, we should say may. Instead of saying no, we should say think or believe. Think or believe. Instead of saying it is known that, we can say, sorry. Instead of saying it is known that, we can say it may be said that, it can be said that. Or we can say, we can argue that, one may argue that, we can assume that, one may assume that. All right. This way, we will not sound so sure of ourselves, and we will always leave an open door for different opinions or different people's experiences. When you say it is known that, you assume that everyone in the world knows that. But what if some don't? All right. Or if you say, or you assume that everyone thinks that way, right? But not everyone thinks that way. There are 8 billion people out there. And objectivity, our language should be objective, not so personal. It is a very rare thing. A personal argumentative essay is very rare. Here, right now, we are learning how to write a formal argumentative essay. So our tone should be objective, not personal. For example, instead of I, we can use we, one, indefinite pronoun, one. Or we can use the passive, all right? Like it may be said that, it can be said that. It is the use of passive, okay? And the third person viewpoint is especially useful for maintaining your reader's focus on your ideas and for suggesting some distance between you and your subject. So subjectivity comes from the word subject. So you shouldn't write about your own subject, all right? You should be objective. You should drive the attention on the object itself, the ideas, okay, your ideas and the opinion that you are defending, all right? The focus should be on that. That's why we need to use we as a pronoun, or one, the indefinite pronoun, or the passive voice. Okay, and secondly, acknowledge that some people in your essay acknowledge that some people may have an opposing opinion. Their opinion their opinion may be in direct contrast to the opinion that you're supporting, to the opinion that you're defending in your essay. All right. So we shouldn't simply ignore the opinions that conflict with our opinion. All right. Instead, we should mention it. If you mention the contrasting opinion in your essay, that will make your opinion sound more reasonable. And you can do this in several ways, but as I give utmost importance to unity and coherence, I recommend you to do it in the introduction paragraph. And not in the thesis statement, but in a few sentences before the thesis statement. You can mention it in the opening part. I mean, after you introduce your topic and before the thesis statement. You can mention the opposing opinion in a few sentences. One sentence might not be enough because you need to introduce that opinion as well. And then transition into the opinion you are going to defend in one sentence, and then write your thesis statement, which should include your opinion and the main points that you'll discuss in the body part. It is important that in the thesis statement you clearly state your standpoint, all right? The opinion that you are going to defend. Okay, and three, while writing our essay, sometimes an opposing argument may have a point, a very good point that you can't deny. The best strategy then is to accept it, all right? Yeah, admit that it is a good point, all right? You may lose credibility if you argue against something that clearly makes sense, all right? If you completely deny that good point for the sake of defending your own point of view, it may make you sound, you know, not so believable. All right. So and that's why we need to, you know, accept that opinion. We will also appear more open-minded, and it will actually be good for our credibility. Okay, after you accept that that point is actually true, can be true, or undeniable, or indisputable, then you can continue defending your own opinion, maybe using a conjunction of contrast such as dot dot dot. However, dot dot dot, etc. Or you can combine two sides of the argument using though, although, okay? Though there may be no casual relationship, though these two things seems to be not related, dot 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 dot. All right, and you can also do that with a phrase like that may be true, but this is after the part after but, you know, where you defend your own opinion, where you defend your own opinion. It is called rebuttal, as a noun and rebut as a verb. You may remember this word from debates that you did last year in critical thinking course. When somebody makes a point, you have 2 minutes to rebut against it. You know, to show that why that point is can be, you know, can be challenged. Okay, where you show why that point can be challenged. And rebuttal, you can use two methods for rebuttal, and these two methods we already learned about them while writing compare and contrast essays. One side at a time method or point by point method. So you can take one side of the argument and explain it and then move to your side of the argument, or you can give one point from the opposing argument, then you can give your own side of the, you can explain your side of the argument. Then you can take another side of the opposing argument, and then you can explain your side of the argument. So, you know, remember, one side at a time and point by point. Okay, it is just the same, but this time we are doing it for two sides of an argument. Okay, but I recommend you to do this when you feel it's absolutely necessary, because I don't want writing an argumentative essay for you guys to be too complicated. This will be your second argumentative essay and first time trying to apply these rules in your essay. So I just recommend you to keep it simple. Okay, so just give the opposing side in the introduction paragraph, and if you think it's necessary to talk about, to rebut the opposing side of the argument, do it in the body paragraphs, but not too much. Okay, I want you to focus more on the side that you're supporting. That will be that will make it, I hope, easier for you. Okay, again, we have two essays to consider, but this time I'll ask you not to read the essays completely. Actually, do not read the second one. It is an excellent essay. I have hard time believing that it is a student essay, and just you don't have to read it, but if you want to, you can. No restrictions on that. Also, in the first essay, please only read the introduction, uh, the first body paragraph, and then skip the second and third body paragraph and read the conclusion. Okay, please pause the video now and read these one, two, three paragraphs of the first essay. And when you finish reading, please continue watching the video. Now I am moving on to my analysis of these parts of the first essay, which is called Privileges and Public Places. Okay, let's have a look at the introduction first. As a good introduction should do, the introduction opens with general ideas. Canada has an international reputation for fairness. Canada also prides itself on its cultural diversity and religious tolerance, etc. Well, if this was my student, I would say Canada has an international reputation. Instead of that, I would ask the writer to write Canada is believed to have, because as I told you, we shouldn't sound so sure about ourselves. And after that comes religious freedom is guaranteed by the Canadian Constitution, the Constitution of a secular country. It is okay to sound sure of yourself in this sentence because it is a fact. Okay, it is written in the Canadian Constitution, so you can say is guaranteed. All right, you can because you see it, you can see it with your own eyes in the Canadian Constitution. Okay, and then the writer in the next sentence starts to specify the topic, narrowing down the topic. Canada's public spaces is the topic. Canada's public spaces, as they define and display its national character, are open to all to use, are open to all, it means all people, to use and enjoy as guaranteed by the Charter. The Charter is where where the rights of the Canadians are written. Okay, again, it is a fact. And the topic is now narrowed down. What happens though here, when you use it like this after the verb with a comma or at the end of the sentence with a comma, it means but. Okay, it means but. But what happens, or what happens though, when a religious group requires special conditions for exclusive use of streets, parks, schools, and municipal sports grounds? So, opposition to the fact that was mentioned in the previous sentence, okay, which is signaled with the use of word though. So the fact stated above is opposed by the writer here. And the problem is posed in the next sentence. The boundary between accommodating religious groups' activities and allowing these groups to infringe on the rights of others using the same locations is unclear. So it is a problem, all right? And here comes the writer's argument. In the thesis statement, accommodating religious practices in public places is not justified by giving religion unique elevated status. This is the writer's opinion, writer's argument, and by Canada's status as a secular nation or by Canada's constitution and laws. These are the supporting ideas, the ideas which support the writer's argument. So they are the main ideas, these supportive ideas are the main ideas that the writer is going to discuss in the body part. Okay, and here comes the first paragraph of the body. Religion is often placed in a special higher category of human thought and belief, a universally acknowledged basic good above all criticism or restraint. Thomas Aquinas in the 2000, in the 1200s defined basic good as a belief or ethic universally agreed to be beneficial to humanity. So here the writer begins the paragraph by explaining what religion is in the context of this essay. All right. You may, in an argumentative essay, just to avoid misunderstandings, just to prevent misunderstandings, you may need to define some concepts. For example, religion is defined here. What do we mean by religion, right? First, if you first define the concepts, the terms, then you will sound more persuasive, all right? Because now everybody who read your essay will be clear on what you're actually talking about, all right? Okay, and here you can see there's a reference to Thomas Aquinas, a medieval religious scholar. So if you use references from authorities, that will also better support your side of the argument. Okay, and Canada does not protect its citizens' rights to practice their does protect, sorry. Canada does protect so Canada protects its citizens' rights to practice their own religious customs as they see fit. So this green sentence is one side of the argument, and the pink sentence, however, which starts with however, as I told you, after presenting one side of the idea, you can continue with your side of the argument using a conjunction of contrast. However, is the perfect conjunction in this case. Okay. However, Canada also upholds the rights of those who practice no religion and their right to do so. So the green sentence is one side of the argument, and the pink sentence is the other side of the argument. And again, just just a couple of sentences later, again the writer presents two sides of the argument. Again, the green one is one side of the argument, and the pink one is the writer's argument, which, as you can see, begins with but. All right, again, another conjunction of contrast. All right, so the non-belief, okay, both sides of the argument are presented using a conjunction of contrast. And here in the end, the sentence in orange, because Canada contradicts itself if it gives religion a special privilege as a basic good. So this is connected to the main argument, all right, to the writer's argument. So this is writer's argument. And it goes on like this, one side of the argument presenting one side and presenting the writer's side. Okay, and in the conclusion, you can see that the supporting points are summarized logically and legally. So, because the majority of the essay appeals to logos. And in the last sentence, the main argument is restated. Okay, so this is how you can write a good argumentative essay. Okay, about research and reference. When you write your homework, okay, before that, the use of research by the author in college or university, argumentative essays are not personal in nature, and topics are generally matters of global concern, matters that concerns the whole world, so or a whole country. So research will be required to make supporting points and details more acceptable. When you write your homework essay, I expect you to include at least one quotation from a scientist, philosopher, writer, political reader, historian, scholar, anyone who is a renowned authority in your topic. All right, and at least one, okay, and at least one research finding. Mention the name of the study and the university that conducted it. And of course, these two should both be relevant to your topic and be supporting your point. And also, you don't need any citation. All right, citation. There are many types of citations in the academic world. MLA is what I used when I was a student. But I think as far as I know, APA is used in education departments. Okay. In the final exam, however, you're not expected to do that because in the final exam you won't have any chance to go on and do any search on the internet. But if something that you knew before comes to your mind, you're most welcome to include it in your essay. All right, if you can remember something that you already know from a famous writer or educator or a philosopher, etc., you can use that if it is related to your argument, all right? If it supports your argument. Okay, you should give specific examples, as I already told you, for your essay number one, and you can read research. So you can do a quick research on the internet for some blog posts or TED talks or some survey results, study results, etc. And you should define the terms that you use to avoid misunderstanding. Not all the terms, but just, the central concepts. All right. You may need to define them in order to avoid misunderstanding. Also, descriptions, you can use descriptive method or contrast method to make your argument stronger. For example, here an example is given about the school uniforms. So to make your argument stronger, you can describe a casually clad, disorderly group of students and contrast it with the description of a neat, disciplined group of uniformed students to make your argument stronger and to appeal to your readers' imagination. Okay, and your thesis statement, as I already told you, should clearly show the opinion that you will defend and presents the main ideas that you're going to discuss in the body part. Here are two examples to a thesis statement. The first one, colleges and universities must set an example where recycling is concerned. Must is a very strong word. So this thesis statement strongly presents which side of the argument will be taken by the writer, but it doesn't include the main ideas. Let's read the second one. Lack of family or peer support, financial pressures, and health problems make students drop out of college and university. So you can see the main ideas here, and also the argument is presented. So this makes a better thesis statement than the previous one. Your thesis statement should also look like this, and not exactly like this. I mean, it can begin with the argument and then state the main ideas. Okay, and body paragraphs. According to this book, if you use climactic order or save the best until last order for your supporting points and also for your body paragraphs, it would benefit you. It would make your argument stronger. So try to decide on the priority of your main ideas. Okay, start with the one you think is weakest and lead up to the strongest. By weakest, we mean the one the main idea that may receive objection, and the strongest, the one that is the most undeniable. Okay, so if you can arrange your main ideas from the weakest to the strongest, you will be closing your essay, finishing your essay with the strongest main idea, which would benefit the credibility of your essay. All right, so this is how you write an argumentative essay. So let's talk about now your assignment. Here are 3 topics for argumentative and argumentative or persuasive essay. Choose one of the following topics. Should homework be banned? Should students be allowed to use AI? Will robots replace teachers in the future? After you choose your topic, do some research on it, read blog posts, try to find studies about it, look for what authority figures say about the issue, renowned educators, writers, etc. TED Talks would be a good start to look for them. And then when you are sure you collected enough info and a number of different opinions, brainstorm for ideas. You can write one side of the argument here and the other side of the argument here. And you can list or do free writing to see the contrasting points. And then choose your side. Decide which side you favor more than the other, or play it smart. Which side do you think you can support better? And step 5, decide which version of appeal will work best for you, logos, pathos, or ethos, or a combination of the two or all. And number 6, outline, organize your main ideas and supporting details, check your organization for clarity and unity, and try to organize the main points from the weakest to the strongest. Step 7, work on your thesis statement. It should clearly state your side, and it should list the main ideas that you will discuss in the body part. Step 8, write your essay. Use polite and formal language, as I already spoken about. Acknowledge opposing opinion. And when there is a very good point that you can't deny in the opposing opinion, accept it, then go on to defend your side, and include at least one quotation from an authority and or one research finding that supports your side. Step 9, revise. After you finish, reread your essay and ask the following questions. Step 10, make necessary revisions and editing. 11, when you finish, exchange essays with your partner and comment on each other's, you know what you should comment on. And last step, rewrite according to your partner's comments and submit it on Google Classroom.